Hey there, all you Houstonians out there. I bet a lot of you are listening with your furry friend right by your side.
Or maybe a scaly or feathery companion.
Right, exactly. You know, living in H-Town with a pet is just part of the experience,
I
right?
said,
But it comes with its own uh, set of challenges. I
absolutely.
mean, we've got the heat, the bayous, those crazy armadillos. I swear they're everywhere.
Oh, yeah, they can be quite the handful.
So in this deep dive, we're going to talk about how finding the right vet can make all the difference for you and your pet.
It's interesting. Houston vets actually have kind of a specialized knowledge.
Oh, so?
Well, think about it. We deal with things that vets in other parts of the country might not even think about.
Like what?
Well, like heat stroke, for example, or encounters with our unique wildlife.
Oh, right, like those armadillos I mentioned.
Exactly. They can carry diseases that other vets might not be as familiar with.
That makes sense.
And then there's the flooding we get here.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So Houston vets are really prepared for all those things.
Wow, so it's like having a doctor who speaks your language, but for your pet.
That's a great way to put it.
And you know what else I found fascinating in this article? Caring for your pets in Houston? How a veterinarian can help.
Oh, yeah, I've read that one.
They talk about preventative care and how it's so much more than just the basic shots.
Preventative care is really the key to keeping your pet healthy, especially in Houston.
So what kind of things are we talking about?
Well, flea and tick prevention is crucial here.
Yeah.
It's not optional, it's almost mandatory.
Really? Why is that?
Well, we have fleas and ticks year-round here, thanks to our warm climate.
Oh,
And then there's heartworm medication.
right.
Heartworm is spread by mosquitoes, and we all know how many mosquitoes we have in Houston.
Too many.
Exactly. So those are just a couple of examples of how preventative care is really tailored to our environment here in Houston.
So it's like personalized medicine, but for pets.
Precisely.
And the article also mentions leptospirosis.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
I have to admit, I'm not really familiar with that.
It's a bacterial disease that can be spread through wildlife urine and contaminated water.
Okay, so with our bayous and flooding, that's a real concern.
Exactly. A good Houston vet will make sure your pet is vaccinated against leptospirosis.
So it's really about knowing the specific risks of our area. I'm
Absolutely.
learning so much, I feel like I'm already becoming a better pet parent.
That's what we like to hear.
You know, it's amazing to me how much vets can actually tell just by looking at a pet.
Oh, yeah. We're trained to spot subtle signs of illness that owners might miss.
Really? Like what kind of signs?
Well, for example, maybe your dog is a little more lethargic than usual.
My dog sleeps like all day.
Well, that's normal for some dogs, but if you notice a sudden change in their energy level, it could be a sign of something more serious.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or maybe your cat is drinking more water than usual.
Hmm. Haven't really noticed that with my cat.
Well, it's just something to be aware of. These little changes can be early warning signs of illness.
So it's all about paying attention
Exactly. And that's where having a good vet comes in.
because they can catch those things early on.
Right. Early detection is key. It can save you a lot of heartache and money in the long run.
That's a good point.
Right.
No one wants to deal with a huge vet bill.
No, they can be scary.
So by catching things early, you can potentially avoid more serious and expensive treatments down the road.
Exactly. It's
Mhm.
all about being proactive.
I love that. And you know, speaking of different pets,
Yeah.
Houston has such a variety of pets.
It's true. We've got everything from the usual cats and dogs,
Some more exotic animals.
like birds, reptiles, even pot-bellied pigs.
I actually saw a guy walking a pig the other day.
Oh, yeah. They're becoming quite popular.
It was so cute, but it made me wonder, like, where do you even find a vet for a pig?
Well, that's the great thing about Houston. We have vets who specialize in all sorts of animals.
So no matter what kind of pet you have, you can find a vet who knows how to care for them.
Exactly.
That's really reassuring.
We've got you covered.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Now, what about emergencies?
Emergencies are always a possibility.
Especially in Houston. We have our fair share of storms and other unexpected events.
That's true.
So what should we do to prepare for a pet emergency?
Well, first of all, make sure you have a plan.
A plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like know where the nearest 24-hour animal hospital is.
Okay, that makes sense.
And also know what to do in different situations.
Like if your dog gets into something they shouldn't.
Exactly, or if your cat gets injured.
Right.
It's all about being prepared.
So you're not scrambling in the middle of the night trying to figure out what to do.
Exactly.
I can definitely see how that would be stressful.
It's much better to have a plan in place ahead of time.
That way you can stay calm and focus on getting your pet the help they need.
Exactly.
And I think that's a great point to end on. Being prepared is so important when it comes to pet ownership.
It really is.
So thank you so much for all these great tips. I feel much more confident about navigating the world of pet care in Houston.
You're welcome.
And to all our listeners out there, remember, finding the right vet is crucial to keeping your pet happy and healthy.
Absolutely.
They're more than just a doctor. They're a partner in your pet's care.
That's a great way to put it.
So do your research, find a vet you trust, and get ready to enjoy all the adventures Houston has to offer with your furry friend by your side.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it really is like having a pediatrician for your pet, someone who sees them grow up, you know?
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
So once we've kind of wrapped our heads around that idea, of having this partner,
Mm-hmm.
how do we actually go about finding that perfect Houston vet, the vet?
Right. Well, I think the first step is to really think about your pet's specific needs,
Okay, so like what kind of things should we be considering?
Well, do they have any pre-existing conditions, or are they a breed that might require specialized care?
Okay, so like if you have a bulldog or something.
Exactly. Certain breeds are prone to certain health issues.
Right.
So you want to make sure you find a vet who's experienced with those issues.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not as simple as just picking the closest vet on Google Maps.
No, not necessarily. You really want to do your research.
Okay, so where do we even begin?
Well, word of mouth is always a good place to start.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Talk to your friends, your neighbors, anyone you know who has pets.
I'm always asking my friends for recommendations for everything.
Exactly. People love to share their experiences, especially when it comes to their pets.
And what about online reviews? Are those helpful?
They can be, but you have to take them with a grain of salt.
How come?
Well, sometimes people only leave reviews when they've had a really good or a really bad experience.
Oh, so it might not be a representative sample.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So we're gathering intel from real people, but we're also being discerning.
Right. You want to get a well-rounded perspective.
Okay, so let's say we've done our research and we've narrowed it down to a few potential candidates.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next step?
Well, I always recommend scheduling a meet and greet appointment.
A meet and greet.
Yeah, most vets are happy to offer a brief consultation where you can just get a feel for the clinic and the staff.
Oh, that's a great idea.
You can see how they interact with your pet, ask any questions you might have.
So it's like a first date for you and your pet.
You could say that.
You want to make sure there's a good connection
Exactly. You want to feel comfortable with the vet and the staff.
because you're going to be entrusting them with your pet's health.
Right. And you want to feel like they're listening to you and that they understand your concerns.
So what are some things we should be looking for during that meet and greet?
Well, first of all, pay attention to how the vet interacts with your pet.
Okay.
Do they seem genuinely interested? Do they take the time to really examine your pet?
Okay. Yeah, those are good signs.
And then think about how you feel when you're talking to the vet.
Mm-hmm.
Do they answer your questions thoroughly? Do they make you feel comfortable asking even the silly questions?
Because sometimes you feel like you're bothering them,
I know exactly what you mean. You shouldn't feel that way with your vet.
Right, you want to feel like you're a team working together for your pet's well-being. Okay, so we're looking for someone who's knowledgeable and experienced, but also someone who's a good communicator and who really cares.
Exactly. You want the whole package.
Right. And then there are also some practical considerations,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
like location and hours.
Exactly. Is the clinic conveniently located for you?
Right, because you don't want to have to drive across town for every appointment.
And what are their hours?
Right.
Yeah.
Could you get there after work or on weekends?
And do they offer emergency services?
Okay. Yeah, that's a big one.
You want to know that you have somewhere to turn if something happens outside of regular business hours.
So it's really about finding that sweet spot where you have a vet you trust, who's also conveniently located and offers the services you need.
It's all about finding the right fit.
Right. And it feels like we're not just talking about finding a vet, we're talking about finding like a pet soulmate.
Well, in a way, you are.
It's a big decision.
It is. It's an investment in your pet's health and happiness.
I never thought about it like that. But you're absolutely right.
It's a partnership that can last for years.
Wow, this whole conversation has been so insightful.
I'm glad you're finding it helpful.
We've talked about the unique challenges of pet ownership in Houston, the importance of preventative care,
Right.
the power of early detection,
Absolutely.
and, of course, the absolute necessity of finding the right vet.
It all ties together.
It really does. And I think the most important takeaway for me is that we have the power to make informed choices for our pets.
That's the key.
We're not just at the mercy of fate or whatever Houston throws our way.
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
Right. And by understanding the role that a Houston vet can play in our pets' lives, we can be proactive advocates for their health and happiness.
Absolutely.
And that's a really empowering feeling.
It is. It really is.
It's kind of funny. We started out talking about all the crazy challenges of having a pet in Houston.
Right.
But you know what? Through this conversation,
Yeah.
I'm actually feeling really optimistic.
Wow, good. I'm glad.
Because we have access to all these amazing vets who really get it.
Yeah.
You know?
They know what it's like to have a pet in this city.
Exactly. It's like they're speaking our language, but for our pets.
Exactly.
And that whole thing about having a long-term relationship with a vet.
Oh, yeah. That's so important.
Especially as our pets get older.
It really is. You know, they can anticipate potential issues.
Exactly. And guide us through those tough decisions.
Absolutely.
It makes me feel like we're not just helpless. You know?
No, you're definitely not helpless.
We can actually be proactive about our pets' health.
Exactly. And this deep dive has given you the tools to do just that.
It really has. I feel so much more empowered now.
Good. That's what we want.
So to wrap things up,
Yeah.
for all you Houstonians out there with your furry, scaly, or feathery friends.
Or any other kind of pet.
Right.
Exactly.
Remember, a healthy pet equals a happy you.
Couldn't agree more.
And in a city as amazing as Houston,
Mm-hmm.
that's a recipe for a truly incredible life together.
It is.
So go find that perfect vet partner.
Yeah.
And get ready for all the adventures Houston has to offer.
Absolutely.
With your best friend by your side.
That's what it's all about.
Here's to the work.